a lot of the team, and the expectation is that like you're going to fill in when others cannot. And if you don't have a really good dance partner that you can rely on, like you just have to kind of carry the load.
So it's like the club. You got to dance with somebody.
Yeah, and then
Can't be a wallflower.
If you're the only one dancing and nobody want to dance with you, then you're just gonna be out there dancing, looking kind of crazy.
Ain't nothing wrong with that too. I see y'all.
Hey man, like I don't mind dancing to myself, but like everybody else looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with this dog? Like he's crazy.
And it comes back to confidence. If you're ever in that position, keep moving.
Yeah. What do you feel about leadership? Like, I mean, did you step into any leadership in UCLA? You've been here 4 years.
Not UCLA. I feel like shit. I never even thought of that shit. But in Sacramento State, most definitely.
Yeah.
So I had to really start from ground zero to do that, and so so right after that period where I was unemployed after submitting like 99 plus employment applications and getting rejected over and over and over again, I eventually found that role with EOP, and then I moved up, continuously getting promoted every year. But maybe not necessarily to discredit myself, but a lot of that was because of a supervisor who recognized my potential. So it comes down to how similarly what you said about vibes. You kind of pick up on who really fucks with you or not.
Yeah, right.
And so I had a supervisor who, at least within the professional realm and academic realm, really fucked with me. Yeah. She wasn't just my supervisor, but she was eventually, when I asked her to be on my committee for my master's thesis, she agreed.
Yeah,
it's all about development. And so going back to leadership, it's something you really gotta want to do. You can't be no half-ass shit. But I'll tell you what, in higher ed, man, people in leadership positions
stress the fuck out.
They stress, but some of them really don't give a fuck. They there for the paycheck. We know that. And we could have a whole discussion on that, but just for the sake of moving forward with leadership.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody special that is in leadership. They're just like you and I. There's no divine assignment from the skies that they belong there. Everybody has, that opportunity to submit an application, and it's all about, the politics that run with hiring committees, which I've been on and I've seen.
Yeah.
It's
let me interject in there,
not for sure. Go ahead.
So in a perfect world, if you could change one thing about like the admissions process and higher ed and leadership to that point, what would you do?
Well, shit, you just passed on a fucking loaded question back to me,
yeah,
but
man.
I think now it's a little different, but back then, it was big on high stakes standardized testing. Yeah. Fuck that bullshit. And a lot of it is because, a lot of the stuff you learn in school, depending on what school you come from, depending on the type of funding and resources you have, depending on the kind of teachers you have, depending on the community, your family, how you begin. This is also very, very related to generational wealth and your upbringing. But depending on the resources you grew up with, that plays into the role of how familiar you are with the formatting and of the questioning of standardized testing.
Yeah. Let me interject though.
Yeah.
Standardized testing, I'm going to tell you this. I remember going through elementary, they only taught us the test. You weren't able to like think intuitively how to answer questions.
Was this a public school? Was this
public?
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
You don't think, like, you just are told what to say or how to answer. It's nothing else. Like, I swear to you, like, man, I was like, how is a nigga supposed to know how to do a LSAT if, like, you never was taught
right,
to do that?
Right.
So I spent $4,000 on LSAT prep, right?
Yeah.
Just to try to get into law school. Even with all that money, even with like an undergrad GPA of 3.89, whatever the fuck it was, like I still scored very poorly when it came to standardized testing. So I always like push back when you have these people that have more resources and grow up in a more what they would call normal life. Tell people like standardized testing is affirmative action. Like it does give people an opportunity. I think that's bullshit.
First time I've heard of that. That's interesting.
No, I mean, I'm serious. Like, so like, okay, LSAT is supposed to, at some point, not become a condition of admissions for law school.
Is it still?
In theory, yeah. But you have people, certain people at higher levels, specifically at Stanford, you know, those educated niggas, saying like, oh,
They rejected me, by the way, twice,
yeah.
despite getting an interview the second year around. But please continue on.
Yeah. So anyway, they're over there arguing. Their argument is that it's going to eliminate the ability for those that are minorities to get in. And it's like the assumption is because you're a minority, you can't have a high GPA, so you have to score higher on a standardized test. Like, I think that's bullshit. Like, I mean, you're basically disqualifying everybody because they can't
Of the test score.
right.
Yeah.
Like, and so, you know, you look now, at least in undergrads, like niggas can get in without having to do the SAT, you know, or ACT, if that's still a thing. And like it's doing wonders. You know, we all know education is like the way to get out of poverty, right? If you are more educated, you have more opportunities. But now we're looking at how education is becoming like a cash cow, and it's kind of hindering those that are trying to get themselves out of it, the ability to actually go into the middle class, right? And even for me, I felt that pressure, like, okay, yeah, you have a bachelor's, but like, that's not enough. You know, like you have a master's, but that's not enough.
And that
like,
speaks into higher roots.
right.
So, you know, not to make an advertisement, but when I say higher roots, that's my nonprofit. And so I merge the name higher education and grassroots just because I feel like a lot of people who do research on communities of color are not people of color in those communities.
That's fine.
You know, I want, you know, folks that look like us, especially black and brown folks that I might not necessarily personally identify